I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Surface analysis across the country shows our cool front, the one that's going to be bringing rain to a good part of hard red winter wheat country. Well, it's moving eastward. Low pressure sits right along the South Dakota-North Dakota border, about halfway across. Another low sits in central Nebraska, another one down in northeastern New Mexico, and one in southeastern New Mexico. Along that front, we actually have seen some showers and thunderstorms firing off in Kansas. A couple of brighter radar echoes would indicate maybe some better thunderstorm development in south central Kansas. Then we're seeing some action back down into the Texas Panhandle as well. Earlier today was a little concerned about how moisture was going to form on the backside of the front. Models were putting moisture in there, and I agree with it. I think there should be, but I was seeing some dry air wrapping in close to the front, less cloud cover. Well, we're starting to see now some showers and thunderstorms start to pop up in north central parts of Colorado, northeast Colorado behind the front. So we're starting to see the wraparound or backside moisture there. Also helping matters, I think, is a low that's formed in southeastern Idaho. So this is lagging the front fairly significantly, but I think this can turn into a decent low as it moves east to southeast and kind of hooks up with some of this backside moisture. All told, we still are going to leave our rain totals alone across hard red winter wheat country, 1 to 3 inches. I like to spread this from, closer to an inch up in the South Platte Valley of northeast Colorado and southwestern Nebraska to 2 to 3 inches once you get into south central Kansas, north central Oklahoma. I do think pretty much 90% of the hard red winter wheat area will pick up good moisture before all is said and done. Now, the other thing that I'm watching here weather-wise, short term, is the fairly significant frontal boundary that's going to be moving across the Corn Belt. It's the same front that's bringing rain to hard red winter wheat areas, but this front is going to be bringing action to the western Corn Belt, I think, as soon as probably Saturday afternoon. And honestly, with the way the front is moving right now, I guess I wouldn't be surprised at a few thunderstorms in extreme western Iowa within the next 24 hours. But still, I'm looking at a Saturday afternoon to Sunday, early Monday event for most of the Corn Belt. And what's really interesting is, as I look at some of these models, several of them are putting the heaviest rains out of this rain event for the weekend and early next week in over central Illinois. What I find interesting about that is these are the driest areas. These are the areas where we've seen and heard about a lot of planters rolling already. My concern is if we bring 2-3 inches of rain or more in on these soils, after that we get into cold air and we don't see things evaporate exceptionally quickly, I guess I'm a little concerned about too much rain, cold air leading to crust over issues, and then if we add more rain to it as we go on through the end of next week and into the week following, I'm a little concerned. Now, I'm not going to put up the red flag and say warning, warning, warning. No, I'm not going to do that at all. But this will be interesting to watch and see how it emerges. Do we see the rains that some of the models are showing falling like that? The European model, for example, has some locally 3-inch rains over central Illinois. That would just be way too much, and it comes fairly quickly. Right now, I like a rainfall total of 1/2 to 2 inches over 90% of the Corn Belt for this weekend into early next week. And then as we go from there, the longer-term forecast period still looks fairly damp to me. For example, after this system is done, we get cool air for next week, potentially looking at some very cold air for a while. As we move into the end of next week, 24th, 25th, a little bit of a precursor comes in, scattered moisture for the Corn Belt, and then the 26th, 27th, a big system comes. And that one looks very similar to what we're talking about for this weekend. We're ramping that system up quite a bit. If realized, I think we could see another 1/2 to 2 inch rain total out of that, and then another system probably around the turn of the month, first into the second, maybe second into the third. These bigger systems, if they are able to come to fruition, are not going to be exceptionally helpful, even for crops that got thrown in the ground or are getting thrown in the ground right now. And I know there are planters rolling over a large part of the Corn Belt. It is very, very early in the season here, and we'll have to see how these rain showers affect things. International weather not showing a lot of interesting action right now. We're seeing some good rains over the central to southern part of China, but not a lot in the biggest corn and bean producing areas. That's something that's kind of got my eyebrows up a little bit. I'm going to be watching that in the days and weeks ahead. Better moisture working into the Black Sea region. At this point, we're not talking near as much about wheat as we are spring crops being sown there, and Australia wheat getting thrown in the ground with some decent moisture in the soil profile. We'll see if we can add to that in the weeks to come. Right now, kind of backing off the moisture just slightly as we go through the 10-day forecast period. That's the way things are stacking up at this hour. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.